We spend a lot of time on the job, providing for our families, but also making friendships that last for years. But sometimes we struggle, perhaps more with our coworkers than with the tasks of the actual work itself on the job. Today, let's consider how to work together better as we think about how God made us, how our personalities affect our attitudes on the job. My name is Mike Dyes. Welcome to Weekend Connection. Now, let's get connected. You ever struggle at work? Think about your relationship on the job and how the Lord can use you there. As we talk today with Dr. Robert Rohm, speaker and author. He earned a Ph.D. at the University of North Texas in Higher Education Administration and Counseling. He also has studied at Dallas Theological Seminary, and over 2 million people have heard him speak on subjects such as how God has uniquely designed you and working with each other despite our different personalities and ways of viewing life. Welcome, Dr. Rohm, once again to Weekend Connection.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate the opportunity of being with you again.
In a previous discussion, you described the DISC, D-I-S-C, system of understanding ourselves, and we won't be going into as much of a detailed explanation of that today, but let's quickly review those 4 basic personality types. Now, you say that none of us are just one or the other, I guess you would say, but that we're a combination of all 4. Is that a good way to start?
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think what we'll do this time, if a person's not driving and they're in a place where they can write or take notes or listen to this, I would just say draw a circle. If you could just draw a circle and then draw a line across the middle of it horizontally. And then on the top of the circle, write the word outgoing, and the bottom of the circle, write the word reserved. Mm-hmm. So again, you can either visualize this, it's not complicated, or you could write it down, just a nice big circle with a horizontal line across the middle, on top of the circle outgoing, and on the bottom of the circle reserved. That's where human behavior connection really begins. In other words, everyone has an internal motor. They either tend to be a little bit more outgoing and fast-paced, or a little bit more reserved and slower-paced. And if you don't think this is true, just go on a walk with someone. It won't be long before you realize one of you walks a little bit faster than the other one, or one walks a little bit slower. So if you're going to walk with someone, you have to kind of adjust your pace in order to stay together. And this is true whether it's walking or talking or selling or being married or raising children or in any other capacity. If you're talking to an outgoing person, just pick up the pace a little bit. Have a little more enthusiasm to your voice, a little more volume. And if you're talking with someone who's reserved, slow things down a little bit. Show a little more calmness and take your time a little more to make them feel safe. Again, one's not right or wrong, one's not good or bad. They're just different. When I was working on my Ph.D., I took classes about my doctoral minors in psychology and counseling about mirroring behaviors and how to connect with your clients. And we learned all kind of things about lean to the left, lean to the right, lean forward, cross your arms, don't cross your arms. And while all that may be well and fine, nothing is better than connecting with someone according to their pace. If you have a group of fast, outgoing children in your Sunday school class or in your family, you better keep things moving or they'll take it away from you. But if you have children that are slower and more reserved, then take your time because you don't want to scare them. Then only one more mark on the paper and you'll have it, and that's draw a line vertically straight down the middle of the page, and off to the left outside the circle write task, and on the right on the outside of the circle write the word people. So the left side's task oriented, the right side's people oriented. This has to do with our priority. Our priority is what drives us. It's more like a compass. Your internal compass either drives you to make it happen, get things done, have a list, check it off, be efficient. That's task. Or take your time and love people and have a nice word and give everybody a hug and smile and be gentle and kind and thoughtful and laugh a little more. And remember, we're human beings, not human doings. And so these are two very, very different sides. But if a person can look at that, That is the model of human behavior. This works on 6 continents. I jokingly say I don't know if it works in Antarctica because I've not been there, but all the other 6 continents it works fine. So having that overview is the model of human behavior. Then real quickly, you just put in 4 letters in clockwise order. In the upper left quadrant, outgoing and task, you write the letter D, which stands for dominant. In the upper right, outgoing and people-oriented, you write the letter I, which stands for inspiring. In the lower right, again, clockwise order. In the lower right, reserved and people-oriented, the letter S, or supportive. And in the lower left, reserved and task-oriented, you write the letter C, or cautious. So if you'll notice, now we have the full model of human behavior. D's and I's are more outgoing. S's and C's are more reserved. D's and C's are more task-oriented. I's and S's are more people-oriented. And that's the starting point of looking to ask yourself, how am I wired? How's another person wired? And it's fun to talk about. We're not talking about something that's sensitive. We're not talking about something that's personal. If Mike, if you and I had not met, we were having dinner together, and I said, do you feel like you're more of an outgoing kind of person or more of a reserved type? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't say to me, well, that's private information. I can't share that. Mm-hmm. People love talking about this because it's talking about them. As a matter of fact, the whole motive, the whole purpose of this goes back to a biblical base that Jesus taught in John chapter 15. He said, you glorify my Father when you bear much fruit. So, I was driving through Florida not too long ago, and I saw an orange tree, and it was just loaded with oranges. And I thought to myself, if that orange tree could talk, it would say, I'm an orange tree. I've been designed by my Creator to produce oranges. Look at me. I'm an orange tree. I produce oranges. How am I doing? I would walk over to that orange tree and say, you're doing great. You're an orange tree because you're loaded down with fruit. I think sometimes we forget as Christians that we're supposed to be fruitful. We glorify God if we're fruitful, Jesus said. The fruit of the Spirit is love and joy and peace and patience and long-suffering and all the other words that sometimes we lose sight of. And I believe, my research has taught me, you best live by the fruit of the Spirit, by understanding yourself and other people so you can connect with them, create better teams, better relationships, have less stress, more productivity, and a whole lot more love.
We're talking with Dr. Robert Rohm as we try to understand ourselves, and today we're going to talk a little bit more about business relationships. Doctor, should bosses take personality into account when they think about hiring or promotion?
I say it is the most important thing you can do, because if you don't understand personalities, you will tend to hire what you think you see rather than what's really there. You see, all of us wear a pair of personality glasses. D types see the world through power, control, make things happen. I see the world through people and relationships and fun and excitement. S's see the world through pace and predictability and being friendly and loving and kind. And C's see the world through procedure and data and information. And if you don't understand your own style, it will color, so to speak, the way you see everything else. And the truth of the matter is, what bosses are hiring, they're not hiring what they see. They're hiring what's really there. And it can be true whether it's in hiring for employment. It can be in also parents tend to raise their children the way that feels best to them. Anybody who has, I've said this sentence probably a million times, anybody who has two or more children will recognize that those two or more children are different from each other. Mm-hmm. Well, if your two or more children are different from each other, are your two or more employees going to be different from each other? Mm-hmm. Should you work with your two employees the same way? I was in a business this morning, and I met an individual who's a very high C, very cautious and calculating. They had her, she's a proofreader. She proofreads curriculum. And I looked at her and I said, "Oh, you enjoy this, don't you?" And she said, "Very much." The owner of the company was there, and I thought, I like to have fun. So I said, "Why don't you take her and put her in sales and marketing across the hall?" And he looked at me kind of strange, and the girl looked, and I said, "I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding." And they both burst out laughing because sales and marketing would not be her cup of tea. Mm-hmm. She would not do well in that. She is reserved and task-oriented. She can proofread for their curriculum for 8 hours today and be energized at the end of the day. She could go over to sales and marketing and get on the phone, and in about 10 minutes, she's going to be ready to quit because that's not her personality. It's not her best fit. So, yeah, bosses must understand this, or they're going to keep on doing what they've always done, which is kind of hire by trial and error and cross their fingers and hope everything works out, which costs a lot of money.
So many people, they go to college and they study one thing and they end up doing something different, maybe something totally different. It would help to understand ourselves before, for instance, we go to college. For our child maybe to understand himself before he goes and studies something that he'll never want to do once he's done.
You're exactly right. I mean, why in the world would someone want to go to school with the massive amount of expense that college is going to be, go for 4 years, get a degree, and never use it? As a matter of fact, I tell people all the time that if you don't know what you want to do, your first step should be to take a personality profile assessment to find out the kinds of professions you're best suited to do. Now, I'm an American and I'm a capitalist, and I believe anybody can do anything in this country they want to do. But I would follow that sentence up real quickly by saying, however, I believe with all my heart, there will be some things you will enjoy doing more than others.
Well, we're talking with Dr. Robert Rohm, who has written or co-written over 20 books, and we are running out of time quickly. Let me mention a few areas, 2 or 3 things, and you tell me how the different personalities would tend to look at these things. For instance, I have a deadline in business. How would the dominant person or the cautious person tend to look at that differently?
Yeah, the dominant person, if you worked for them and you had a deadline, you better hit that deadline. Your job and maybe your life are on the line. I'm being a little, but I'm trying to press the point. Now, if they had a deadline themselves and they missed it, it might be for a good reason. Because they are conscious of the deadline, but it may be they need one more day to close the deal. So, again, it depends on if someone's working under them or if they're the ones with the deadline. But you can bet your bottom dollar they are deadline conscious. Now, the C, on the other hand, everything in the world revolves around the deadline. So they would, again, a little bit of a leeway here. They would be very, very, very focused on getting the deadline done. They might even finish early, because they want to have some room in case something needs adjustment. However, you also need to recognize that sometimes with the deadline, C's can have a challenge because everything can be done a little bit better. So when they meet the deadline and turn something in, they're thinking this way: if I had one more day to go over that, I could have made it perfect instead of just perfect. On the right side, different story. I's and S's are not deadline conscious. I and S types tend to misunderstand D and C types, and D and C types tend to misunderstand I and S's, and I'll explain. D's and C's think I and S types are a little lazy. A little lazy. I wish you just get a little more focused. I wish you could just get this done. I wish you would just pay attention and get to the point and make it happen. It's a misunderstanding. I's and S's misunderstand D's and C's and feel like, they're a little mean. And again, I've said it 3 other times. This is a misunderstanding. If you're on the right side and you're all concerned about people's feelings and loving people and caring people, and somebody's on the left side, where's your report? It was due at 3 o'clock. I need this right now. Well, now you're going to have a problem because the priority, the compass, is focused in 2 different directions. But understanding this helps D's and C's think this way. All right, I'm working with an I or an S, and they are more people-oriented. I'm going to talk to them, give them a little more time, not surprise them, let them know, no, don't forget, this is coming up tomorrow. I need to work with you on this, because they are going to think, I don't want to come across mean. I's and S's are going to think, I've got to get this done right because I don't want to come across lazy. So I've got to get this focused. I've got to get it done. I've got to turn it in on time. I don't want there to be a problem. You see, I just believe my father was right when he said the only answer to a bad misunderstanding is a good understanding. And we can have a good understanding when we understand people.
So when it comes to meetings, I would imagine the I and the S, they're thinking about, it's time to get together and talk, where the others are thinking, we have work to be done in this meeting.
That's exactly right. I's and S's go to meeting just so I can have something to eat and talk and have a little bit of fellowship. D's and C's aren't, if they're going to a meeting, it's for a purpose. And you better have an agenda, it better be written out, and you better follow it. Very true.
Well, we have come to the end, but let me give you a chance to say one more word. Is there something perhaps we haven't covered when it comes to working together on the job that you'd like to mention?
If you put people where they're best suited to do based on their personality, then that's where they're going to sparkle and shine. It's general knowledge for the most part. I was the one who put the Arizona Diamondbacks baseball team together in 1996. Mm-hmm. We got a franchise for the next 5 years. I put their team together according to personality, and they won the World Series, and I'm still wearing my World Series ring today. When I was working with Don Mitchell, who is the general scout, overall the scouting for the Arizona Diamondbacks, he told me, he said, I want to have all D's on this team. Mm-hmm. He said soccer, football, and basketball are team sports. Baseball's an individual sport. Left field and first base are 2 different areas. When they go up to bat, they go alone. What I want is guys who are strong in the dominant trait, because the only thing they have in common is they wear the same jersey. But baseball's not a team sport. And in 5 years, they won the World Series. PersonalityInsights.com or 1-800-509-3472. Well, interesting things. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Dr. Robert Rohm has been helping us understand ourselves and how God has made us and how that can help us in avoiding conflicts or dealing with conflicts as they arise. Thank you, Doctor, for sharing with us today. Mike, I appreciate the opportunity. God bless you, and I wish you and all the listeners all the success in the world as they learn to understand themselves and others based on the way God has wired them. PersonalityInsights.com or 1-800-509-3472. My name is Mike Dyes. Join us again next week for Weekend Connection.
Thank you for listening to this feature, a production of BBN, the Bible Broadcasting Network. BBN provides 24-hour Christian programming, great Christian music, and Bible teaching. Listen to BBN by clicking the link in the description.